Greetings dear ones, I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. This may be a pressing question to some of certain spiritual beliefs. What if it was more than that? What if there was one more Messiah than you thought, maybe 2 or 3? What if the question is, are all the Messiahs coming back? If you start to study the belief systems of this planet and the billions who are invested in them, you will find that of 5 of the major spiritual systems, 4 of them expect a master to return. You might find that a coincidence, or perhaps it's part of what you're experiencing right now. Maybe it's even what the indigenous talked about. What if they all are back already? Dear ones, I want to present something that is controversial to many. Those who were grown in a belief system and programmed in a belief system, even ones of love, have come to expect a returning master. And in almost all cases, the aspect of the return is to save this planet from turmoil. A returning master will come and give peace in times that are not peaceful, that will return that which is love to a planet that perhaps doesn't have that. So the returning messiahs, no matter how many or from what belief system, they seem all to have the same purpose to bring peace to planet Earth. Dear ones, I am going to make a statement here, and then I am going to do a little more explanation. That has always been a metaphor, always. Instead of a returning human being that would somehow come from the skies and make some kind of a statement and build a temple on the planet and rule, which is the apparition you might say, of the visualization you might say that we were given, you were given, all were given as the reality in 3D. What if instead it was a metaphor of the consciousness of the master you expect that then would be placed upon the planet at a certain time that would infuse the consciousness of humanity with the tools to help bring peace? And what if there were more than one master? Well, there is. Independent in many belief systems, there is not the same one. There are actually many. There are many more even than are presented in your major belief systems, for many of the indigenous had the same kind of a realization or a belief. What I am telling you now is that all of them together have come back to this planet and imbued themselves onto this grid of consciousness that is yours, in the field that is yours, in order to do exactly what you expect. The messiahs are here. Not as physical human beings, but as a consciousness of love and grace and beauty and wisdom and understanding that you know that they represented. Can you then sit for a moment, no matter what your teaching has been, and realize they've returned? They're back. What is interesting is that this particular shift that you are in, it's the one that we spoke of so many times. It's the one that I spoke of even in 1993 when I presented the first book that is Kryon called The End Times. The book was named after an idea that it's the end of the old times. That old consciousness was now dated and would start to shift into a new consciousness. That has been the message that I have given of love. Something you deserve is coming. Not the Armageddon in the years of 2000s like you were told. Not some kind of returning master who was going to take over the planet as you might have been told, but instead something even grander. A time when all humanity would start to absorb mastery and slowly they would have the attributes of the master you'd expect to return. This is what is taking place, barely starting on this planet. As you start to correct some of the things from an aging old energy that is still battling you right now. You are presently sitting in the battle of old and new consciousness. Some would call it dark and light. That's how old consciousness looks to you. It's a darker idea that countries should attack countries, that resources should not be shared but conquered. This is an old energy that has been with you for centuries, and only has been then started to change in the last decade or 2. And this is why you start to see a real dichotomy between how people think, what people do, and the ideas that they might have to move forward are starting to be very, very different. It's the chasm of consciousness that we predicted and it is here. That someday those will look at you and your ideas and say, you're nuts. You're crazy. Humanity and history will show you're crazy because this has never happened before and here you are saying this is going to happen, but they're not looking around to see the attributes that are happening, that start to prove they're happening.